you have seen this slide before about starting with high quality forage and the interaction that forage quality, harvest, and silo management have. And you know, we're always trying to get down here to high quality forage coming in the field, followed by excellent silo management, so we have high quality silage. And I think that one of the issues that we're going to be faced with this year is the second one right here, that we're going to be starting with poor quality material, and even though we have excellent silage management, we're still going to end up with some pretty poor quality material. Having said that, you know, our goal is to try to minimize the damage that we have here and not make it any worse here, right? So here. Okay. So we realize that there are all these stresses that we can have on the corn plant, from hail damage to drought stress to frost damage to flooding and lodging. And if you look in the literature, it's pretty interesting. The effects on yield, plant health are well documented, but I'll be really hard-pressed to find published research information on the effects of these types of stresses on silage fermentation. They are practically non-existent. If people can find published information on that, I would surely like to see some of these citations, because I have done some pretty exhaustive searches on the databases, and I basically come up in blanks. Having said that, we know that these stresses are going to affect yield and plant health. I think those are pretty much no-brainers. We come to the fact that with a lot of these stresses, we're going to have microbial contamination, including things like, you know, increased total load of organisms, potentially more yeast and molds, and more molds mean potentially more mycotoxins. There's the concern for animal and human pathogens in this material, concern for Clostridia, and then soil contamination, which could increase the buffering capacity and could bring heavy metals into our forages. And of course, everything from the microbial and soil contamination issue is going to have potentially lead to poor silage fermentations, decrease aerobic stability, at least there's a potential for that. Of course, the potential for problems with animal health. You know, I'm going to specifically try to talk about the flooded and lodged corn issue that we have, and we can, if people have questions about hail and frost damage, we can try to address those. But I really wanted to try to talk mostly about the flooded and lodged corn that we have since Hurricane Irene. And if you look at the literature, it's pretty clear that if the roots are completely flooded and underwater for anywhere from 48 from 36 to 48, 72 hours, that the roots basically, the plant basically dies. Flooding causes these plants to decrease their ATP production. The root system decreases uptake of water and minerals. This causes a decrease in photosynthesis. The plant's basically going to be dead after about 2 or 3 days. And this is all because of lack of oxygen at the roots. Now, if the water has receded after a day or so, the plant will probably survive. But continuously underwater for 2 to 3 days, pretty much that plant is gone. These are some pictures of what happened a couple weeks ago. You can see the University of Delaware picture. We had no flooding. But we did have sections that were just completely flattened like this. And then the two pictures on the right here are compliments of Dan Hudson up in Vermont. And Dan showed me some of these plants that were basically flooded, heavily flooded, almost to the tassels or to the tassels. And you can see the heavy silt damage that's left the residue that's left on these plants. Picture of this field here is a field where we had plants that were down and plants that were up. This picture was taken a few days ago, and these plants had been down for a total of almost 2 weeks since the hurricane hit. And about 2 or 3 days ago, we actually harvested some of this material that was down. We also harvested some material in the surrounding area from the same field that was still standing.